Cookery Exploratory Course for Grade 7 and 8. Most Essential Learning Competencies. Milk number 4. Calculate cost of production. In this lesson, you will learn to discuss the principles of costing and calculate cost of production. This unit of competency, calculating cost of productions, covers the knowledge, skills, and attitude in identifying and applying cost of production, which refers to the total cost earned by a business to gather a specific number of a product or offer a service. Production costs may comprise things such as the expenses acquired to gain the production. Food costing is the cost of your ingredient and does not include other costs such as labor and overheads. It is an essential tool in determining whether food costs target are being met. Cost of production is the total price paid for resources used to make a product or create a service to sell, including raw materials, labor, and overhead. It is calculated by dividing the outputs produced by a company by the inputs used in its production process. Common inputs are labor hours, capital, and natural resources, while outputs are generally measured in sales or the number of goods and services produced. How to calculate markup percentage? Markup is the difference between how much an item costs you and how much you sell that item for. It's your profit per item. Any person working in a business or retail will find the skill of being able to calculate markup percentage very valuable. Selling price is the seller's final price. It is the amount that the customer pays for something. The exchange can be for a product or service in a certain quantity, weight, or measure. Purchase cost or the buying price is the amount of materials or items that you will going to use in a certain product. It is also the basis for calculating gain or loss when selling your products. Yield is the number of output or products that you made in a specific recipe. Total cost is the total cost of food production. Study the instruction below to come up with the cost of production of the items that you want to put up in your business. Number 1, calculate your peso markup. This is done by subtracting your buying price from your selling price. Example, the selling price is 15 pesos. Purchase cost or buying price is 10 pesos. The peso markup is 5 pesos. Number 2, decide whether you want to calculate your percentage markup based on cost or selling price. Once you choose which you will be using to calculate, it is important you stick to the method you use throughout all your calculations, or you will end up with faulty data. If you decide to calculate your percent markup based on cost, go on to step 3. If you decide to calculate your percent markup based on selling price, go on to step 4. Number 3, calculate percent markup based on cost. This is done by dividing the peso markup by the cost. For example, peso markup is 5 pesos divided by 10, which is the purchase cost or buying price. The percentage markup is 0.5 or 50%. Number 4, calculate your percent markup based on selling price. This is done by dividing the peso markup by the selling price. Peso markup is 5 pesos. Selling price divided by 15, and the percentage markup is 0.33 or 33%. Number 5, make sure you consistently use either cost of the product or selling price to find the percent markup on an item. Even though the cost, selling price, and peso markup will always be the same, the percentage markup will be drastically different depending on if you calculate it using selling price on cost. Using selling price will give you a lower percentage markup, assuming that you are making a profit, while using cost will give you a higher percentage markup. Calculating markup and selling price, this is the formula. Number 1, peso markup equals equals purchase price minus selling price. Number 2, percent markup equals peso markup divide selling price. Number 3, selling price equals total cost plus peso markup divide to number of yield. Advantages of cost principle. The advantage of the historical cost principle is that the users of financial statements could know exactly the original value of assets or liabilities in the financial statements as it requires no adjustment. This accounting treatment also less affects by accounting assumption. Verifying the value of assets or liabilities based on a cost basis is much easier than market value, and it is a simple method which is easy to understand by management, accountant, and auditor. Disadvantage of cost principle. The cost accounting concept does not reflect the real value of assets or liabilities in the current market. By using this concept, the users will get confusing, especially when the market value of assets or liabilities are significantly different from the original costs. For example, adobo recipe with costing. Given the following recipe and its estimated cost, compute for the total purchase cost and impose a 50% markup to determine the selling price of your product. Yield 5 servings. Item and quantity. 1 kilo pork belly. The unit cost is 300 pesos per kilo. The total cost is 300 pesos. 5 tablespoons of soy sauce. 32 pesos per bottle. Approximately, you're going to use 32 tablespoons. The total cost is 5 pesos. 1 cup vinegar. The unit cost is 20 per bottle. Approximately 2 cups per bottle. The total cost is 10 pesos. 2 teaspoons ground black pepper. The unit cost is 2 pesos per small pack. And you're going to need 1 teaspoon per pack. The total cost is 4 pesos. 1 head of garlic, 200 pesos per kilo. There is 20 pieces per kilo. So the total cost is 10 pesos. 8 tablespoon cooking oil, 32 pesos per bottle, approximately 32 tablespoon. The total cost is 8 pesos. If you're going to add the total cost of each ingredient, the total production cost is 337. The computation of the price per piece, total production cost is 337. The total markup cost is 168.5 equals 505.5 to be divided by 5, which is the yield or the servings, equals 101.1. So you're going to sell the adobo with 101 pesos.